am your lead ramp agent, Fabian, and this is the Taxiway Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow and subscribe on Spotify and on YouTube. Today we're going to do a part one of a preview to spring training. And the reason why is because there are a lot of aviators or potential aviators that will be joining the Athletics this year in spring training as non-roster invitees. But before we talk about who was invited, let's talk about who wasn't invited. On the pitching side, Zane Taylor, Jorge Marcheco, Blake Beers, not invited. And in the infield, outfield, Cooper Bowman, Colby Halter, Luke Mann, Ben Newton, Drew Swift, and Nick Schwartz all were not invited. Everyone else that we had mentioned in previous episodes were invited, so good luck to them. I also want to do a roster update. The Aviators, they added a new catcher to the squad, Chad Wallach. He also plays a little bit of first base. He was with the Round Rock Express, and last season he finished with a 247, 319, 430 average, and he also had 10 home runs. And on the catching side, he had a 25% caught stealing rate, so 25% of the time he'd be able to catch someone stealing. All right, so now let's talk about the top prospects that will be entering spring training. We have MLB ranked number 4, Leo DeVries, shortstop, and he's the A's organizational number 1 top prospect. And then for MLB ranked number 41, A's number 2, we have Jamie Arnold, left-handed pitcher. A's number 3, MLB ranked number 57, Gage Jump, also left-handed pitcher. Then going now MLB unranked, so below the 100, A's number 5, Henry Bolte, the outfielder who we've covered. We also have Tommy White, the A's number 7. He's a third baseman, first baseman. A's number 14, Cade Morris, right-handed pitcher who we've covered. A's number 16, Ryan Lasko, we've also covered. A's number 19, Wei-En Lin, left-handed pitcher. He's in Double-A at the moment. So is Tommy White. Just as a aside, Tommy White was with, I believe, Ryan Lasko in the Arizona Fall League, where he did really well. So that's why I mentioned him here, because there is a good chance that he will be joining the Aviators sometime this season. And after Wei-En Lin, the number 19, we have A's number 22, Kenya Huggins, right-handed pitcher. So both the number 19, Wei-En Lin, and number 22, Kenya Huggins, are in Double-A right now. So you could say that, they could have invited more of the guys that are with the Aviators, but I believe that the A's probably wanted to see all their top prospects and how they would do against the other top prospects that the other teams have. So wishing them a really good spring training. If they do really well, we may see more of them, these top prospects, in AAA at one point in the season. But who has the most buzz? Who has the most buzz? Obviously, we're going to have the most buzz surrounding the A's 1, 2, and 3. And Gage Jump and Jamie Arnold, from the articles that I was reading, Jamie Arnold and Gage Jump are perceived to be the top 2 lefty prospects. So both of them are starting pitchers. So we'll see how they do in that role or as a reliever during spring training. So the the number one, Leo DeVries, shortstop, last season in Double-A Midland, he batted 281, 359, 551, in hitting 5 home runs in only 21 games. So even though he only had a taste of Double-A, you can see that he was already seeing the ball well and already exceeding expectations. A little bit more background on Leo. He was one of the top prospects that were acquired from a trade that sent Mason Miller to the Padres. Mason Miller was the closer for the A's, one of their best closers, and I guess they didn't think that he was going to stick around, so might as well get some good prospects in exchange. So Leo, he rose through the system pretty fast last season. Obviously, half of it with the Padres and the other half with the A's. And anywhere he went, so if it was, low A or high A, anywhere, rookie, he did pretty well. So what should we expect to see out of Leo? So he's someone with serious power. And in one of the videos that I saw of him, one of the highlight videos, and I believe it was during the playoffs, the Double-A playoffs, he hit a ball over the left field scoreboard. Yeah, he hit it really, really far. So, especially here in Vegas, I wouldn't be surprised if we would see a ball hit onto the roof of the Golden Knights practice. I can't remember the building name at the moment. He's also pretty fast. He had some stolen bases last season, and he's also someone who can make very difficult plays look easy. And get this, he's only 19 years old. So Leo has a lot of potential to really make an impact if he were to join the Aviators sometime this season. You never know if the A's might want to rush him through the system, or because there's a lot of obstacles in his way at the major league level. Like, for example, you have Darell Hernandez at third, and then you have Nick Kurtz at shortstop. We don't know if they might want him to spend more time at AAA or even Double-A to develop his skill at a different position, because now the A's acquired Jeff McNeil over at second, so you don't know if there's even space for him in the infield. Maybe they might have him move to the outfield. Who knows? But what could his success in spring training mean? What could Leo's success in spring training mean? So if he gets promoted to AAA, if they think he can handle the AAA, Swift might be maybe demoted from primary shortstop, or maybe they might move Swift over because, at the same time, Swift is your defensive guy. He excels defensively, so maybe you might have Leo play DH, maybe you might have Leo experiment in the outfield, but you could also have Ben Newton be the odd man out and get sent down, because obviously Ben Newton struggled at AAA, so maybe we might see Ben get demoted again. Next guy that we're going to cover is Gage Jump, left-handed pitcher. 3.64 ERA in 81 2/3 innings with 86 strikeouts. And opponents were only hitting .224 against him with a 1.2 whip. So that's pretty good. Most analysts predict that Gage Jump will rise quickly through the system. So the question is not if Gage Jump will play with the Aviators, but when he'll play with the Aviators. Because from an outsider's perspective, the rotation for the A's hasn't been very strong, so maybe they want to rush any new talent that may be doing well to the majors. So we'll see how that goes. The Athletics, a little bit of background for Jump. The Athletics drafted Jump from the Competitive Balance Round B draft. And what stands out about him? From what I gather, a lot of people write about his funky arm angle. And that weird arm angle is very deceptive. His best rated pitch is his curveball. And although he is a starter, there are some who believe that he is better suited coming out of the bullpen. So we don't know if he comes to the Aviators, if they might experiment with that, or if they'll just keep him strictly as a starter. So what does this mean for the Aviators? Who's the odd man out? Well, because some of the players being on a minor league deal, we could see some releases if they either don't perform well in spring training or if they don't do well before the second half or at any point in the season, really, because you have a lot of veteran guys coming out of the bullpen, so you don't know if they'll perform, and if they don't, then I don't imagine the A's would blink to get rid of them sooner rather than later. And Jump is predicted to see some major league time by the end of the season. His major league rating is ETA is 2026, so we don't know at what point in 2026, but we'll see. Next up we have on the list is Jamie Arnold. Now, Jamie Arnold has not played any professional ball last season. He was in college. He played for Florida State University, and with them, he had a 2.98 ERA in 84 in 2/3 innings pitched with 119 strikeouts. That's incredible. He was drafted by the A's in 2025 in the first round with their 11th pick. So he played with Florida State, and he finished third among all D1 pitchers in strikeouts. He was also a Golden Spikes Awards finalist. And what's interesting about covering minor league baseball is that you get to discover new awards that are out there. So I had to do a little bit of research on what is the Golden Spikes Award. So the Golden Spikes Award is presented to the best amateur baseball player in the United States. So you can only imagine how many nominees there were for that award, and Jamie Arnold came out as a finalist, so that's amazing. So what stands out about Jamie Arnold? Well, he's praised for his control, and that's the key to his success. He's also believed to have one of the best sliders in his class, and he has a lot of comparisons to Chris Sale because of that funky delivery. So I guess the A's wanted to follow the trend of funky lefties. And so what does this mean for the Aviators if he were to succeed in spring training? Well, he's predicted to make his MLB debut in 2027. So either he gets to the Aviators this year and fast-tracked through the system, or we see him next year, and or another option is that the A's rotation completely falls apart and they'll need to speed him up this year through the system, just pushing him through. But either way, for the A's, you have a huge success because, you have another promising lefty prospect. But it's also good not to rush him, because if you have him in a position where he's not ready, it could affect his confidence. And, you wouldn't really want that. You want to develop your players well. So here's my personal thoughts. Two things came into my mind. One, if you're the A's GM, you must be pretty excited. You set up your organization to have an amazing infield and a solid rotation, because you have the two top lefty prospects and Jamie Arnold and Gage Jump, and then you have Nick Kurtz, who won Rookie of the Year last season, and then you have Leo DeVries, a very high-rated infield prospect. And that's exactly what any organization would want. You want to go and sign great players, but also develop them as well. And I believe the A's have one of the top systems in the MLB. now the second thing that came into my mind, strictly as an Aviators fan, it makes me super hopeful for the future because the Aviators potentially get a huge upgrade to the rotation, because last year the rotation was not so good. And to the infield, you get a lot more power, but you also get a great glove. So imagine the power hitters. You have Leo. You would have Luke Mann, who really knows how to swing the bat. Uribiel Angeles, he did really good. And then now we're going to have Joey Meneses, who is no slouch either. And this team is a lot, I would say, comparable, but also I would say a lot more, it seems to be a lot more potent offense, because now you have more top prospects going to be entering the system. And then now you're going to have more veteran presence who have a track record of doing well in AAA. So it makes me very hopeful that the Aviators will go to the playoffs once again. And hopefully, if there's enough talent by the second half of the season, potentially even make it to the championship once again. And that's, as an Aviators fan, last season, that was my first time ever seeing them win the championship. I've seen them go to the playoffs in, I believe it was 2019, where they lost. And, it was interesting because I hadn't seen a Las Vegas playoff game before, but to see them actually do great, and then they made an amazing comeback last season in the championship. I mean, although they dropped it in the end, but still, it was fun. It was great. So I am very hopeful as an Aviators fan that this team will finally start to do very well, like very, very well, and be one of the bright spots in minor league baseball. But tell me in the comments what you think of the A's top 3 prospects that'll potentially play for the Aviators next year. Do you think the Aviators will make the playoffs again? So let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. I'm also there on X, so feel free to reach out to me on there as well at the Taxaway Podcast. But I'm your lead random agent, Fabian. This has been the Taxaway Podcast. Farewell and Godspeed.